All right. Welcome, everyone. This is going to be our 2022 Interscholastic Unified Track and Field State Invitational Pre-Competition webinar. Quite a mouthful, but that's what this is. Thank you to all the coaches that are on here that have joined us tonight. This is going to give you a lot of the insight and information that you'll need to prepare yourself and your teams for the state tournament, state invitational that's coming up. We will work through a lot of the venue where you can access things, a little bit of a competition schedule. You'll get the more detailed schedule in the coming days, and just some tips to prepare you for the event as it's coming up. So a little bit of the agenda tonight. Introduce myself. Again, I'm Zach Cintron. I think I've probably seen all of you in some way, shape, or form at district tournaments. I've been running around with your district reps and other people that have been helping run your tournaments. Additionally, on here, we have Riley Palmer, who is our IUS intern. We have Ron Freeman, who is our track and field mastermind compared to everyone else, at least on my team. We have Mike Sarnowski, our VP of Sports, who will be lurking in the background. And we have all of our other coaches that are joining us. I think a district rep or two has joined us as well. We will go over divisions and schedules. We don't have the final divisions yet, but we have an idea of what we're looking at. We'll preview the venue. We'll preview the bus procedures. Those of you that have been here before, they're pretty similar to usual. Rules, reminders, points of emphasis, and then questions at the end. Before we really get going, again, the one thing I like to remind people, I think people are pretty Zoom knowledgeable at this point, but if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. Riley will be keeping an eye on the chat. And additionally, you can always raise your hand and unmute and ask questions as well. So again, I think people are relatively attuned to Zoom at this point, so just chime in if you have questions. We will have an event guide. It will be coming out next week. In the event guide, it will have everything and anything that you need when it comes to the event itself, from schedules to rules to acknowledgements. It'll have everything under the sun in there. Again, be on the lookout for that early next week. Additionally, you will get the team divisions. So what division your team is, division 1, 2, 3, or 4, the other schools that you'll be competing against tomorrow. We have a good idea based on our numbers and going to one day. More than likely, we're looking at 4 divisions. With a tweak here or there, we may end up with 5, but more likely 4 team divisions. So you'll get a look at that. When that comes out tomorrow, do yourself a favor and do us a favor and make sure that your team will have the number of student athletes that we believe is on your team from registration. Double check that that number's right. And again, if it's not correct, that could change what division you're in. So please double check that and respond to the email that you get for the divisions tomorrow. Please let us know if they're correct or incorrect. We want to make sure everything is okay for your teams going into individual event divisioning early next week. This is the general schedule. The schedule has been out there on our website for a little while. It did get tweaked very, very little, just dropping a day essentially when we moved to one day. But essentially, we all get on site pretty early. Volunteers start coming in pretty early. You guys are on buses by the time we're coming in. And then teams start rolling in around 9, 9:15, 9:30. Try to get there around that time. And once you get there, get set up in the stands, kind of carve out your spot for the day. You are more than welcome to warm up with your team. If you want to go down and walk the track, if you want to go down and stretch on the turf where we don't have any of our throwing stations set up, feel free to do so. Get ready, get warm for the day. 10:15 a.m., all coaches, we will have a coaches meeting, and it will be at our control center. Control center is going to be right as you walk in. You won't miss it. You'll know where it is from checking in to start the day as well. We'll do an opening ceremony. Competition begins, and we will roll from there. Again, awards will happen at the end of the day as divisions finish, and we have final places for teams in divisions. So this isn't the final set order of events and who's going to be doing what during the day, but this is probably a pretty close example of what you're going to see. Essentially, the concept for how we get people on and off the track on and off field events is we will start Division 1 on the track, we will start Division 3 in the field events, and we will just go in division order from there. So after Division 1's done on the track, Division 2, then Division 3, then Division 4. Same thing with the field. It'll start Division 3, it'll go Division 4, it'll go Division 1, it'll go Division 2. So you can see how they rotate throughout the day, and sequentially, if you were just on the track, the next rotation through, you should probably be getting a rest. And then after that, you'll be on the field, and then you'll get a rest again. That's essentially what the order will look like. You may start on the track, you may start in the field. But again, we will have this updated once we have final divisions ready to go. Additionally, relays will all be done at the end of the day, just like every other track meet. We'll start with the 4x2s, go Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4. Take a quick break to turn over into the 4x1, let our officials set up, get 4x1 relay set up and staged, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4, and then we will finalize scores, award teams, and get you out of there. So that is a general expectation of what the order of events and schedule is going to look like when we have the divisions set. Venue map. Some of you have probably been to Sports and Learning Complex, and then some of you might be first timers. If you've been there before, welcome back. If you're first timers, welcome for the first time. So this is a general setup of what we have. The track is the track. You can't miss it. I think everybody knows where that is. When it comes to our field events, in the middle of the football field from the 25-yard line out, we will have two vectors set up for mini javelin. So we will have two stations going, an official at each station. Behind the big pink square, which is our staging for field events, is the shot put pits. We will have two pits going, two officials. We'll keep those rolling. And then if you cross the track towards the stands, you see all the pits for the running long jump. We will have one running long jump pit set up and ready to go. And we will have an official there as well. If your teams are reporting to staging during your time for field events, there's going to be a big 20x60 tent on the field that you can't miss. And it's going to be divided in 3 sections for field staging. There will be a section closest to the bottom end of the track and the home stand that will be for the long jump. There will be a section towards the left side where the mini jav is that will be specifically for mini jav staging. There'll be a section towards the right side by the shot put pits that'll be for shot put staging. So when you're in there, be prepared. There's going to be a good amount of people in there, but that's why we get a nice big tent. It's still going to be an open air tent, so it should be nice and cool, should get a breeze going through there. But pay attention and know which staging section you are in the field staging tent. Additionally, you'll see another pink square towards the left side of the map. That is going to be our track staging tent. So when you are reporting for staging for track events, you will be reporting over to that pink tent. Additionally, over there, I didn't mark it on the map, I forgot to. There's a little power generator station that you can kind of see next to that. In front of that will be 2 porta pots, ADA porta pots. If you have athletes that are going to track staging, highly recommend asking them if they want to make a stop at the porta pots beforehand. Once they're in staging, it's tough to get them to a porta pot, not impossible, definitely tough. We want to keep things moving. Last few things that I want to point out here. Big yellow section, that's the home stand. That's where you guys are going to get set up. We will have sections designated. All the vertical columns will be designated to districts. So you will have a vertical column when you walk up. There will be a sign at the top of the bleachers with your district's name on it. That's your home base. You can set up wherever you want. The other boxes to make note of, the orange one is where awards will be, and awards tent is also where lunch pickup is. So that's a crucial spot for the middle of the day and the end of the day that you'll want to know. And then there's a dark blue purple square next to the orange square. That is where the control center is going to be. Again, you have to walk right in and walk right past both of those to get anywhere in the facility. Last 2 boxes, the light blue box is where we are going to have merchandise and performance stations, which are health and wellness stations for your athletes to participate in and experience during their downtime. when they find time to do so. And then the last thing is that green long box. That's where you can find the general restrooms. The main restrooms are in that building off to the side there. Again, we will have porta pots by track staging, but if you are taking your team in general to the restroom, highly recommend traversing to the other building for that restroom. Questions on the facility layout? Looking good. All right. Bus arrival. I think we all know from going to any school-based events, bus arrival and getting kids off buses is always the first pivot point of the day. If we can get everyone off buses in a timely manner, get them into the facility, we'll have a great start to the day. Essentially, buses will come off Sheriff Road. I'll show a map after this and proceed up the hill to the track entry gates. There's going to be 2 drop-off points. We've decided that we're going to do 2, which should hopefully get everybody in the facility a little bit quicker, which we have marked on our map. Get off your buses, get everything you need in a timely manner so we can keep pushing buses through. We don't have a lot of times where they stack up, but occasionally we get 3, 4 buses, 5 buses at a time. We want to keep pushing you guys through. We will then direct your bus driver with volunteers that we have there to park at either the parking lot at FedEx Field or an additional parking stretch that we're setting up behind the facility. We're still waiting and finalizing if we can use the parking lot at FedEx Field, but we're very hopeful that we will. Coaches, also make sure don't get off the bus without getting your bus driver's phone number. Huge key piece to getting out early and getting out in a timely fashion at the end of the day is having your bus driver's phone number. See a question in there, very good question. Concessions for food purchases in previous years. I'm glad the kids have already asked. They're already excited for that. Question currently, the answer is maybe at the moment. It's not going to be concessions. It's going to be food trucks. Ever since the pandemic happened, sports and learning complex has shifted away a little bit from the food and concessions and just hasn't really gotten back into that swing yet. So the answer is maybe, and now on a later slide, I also mentioned feel free to pack water, Gatorade, snacks, nutritious items between when you get there in the morning, lunch, and when you leave as well. But the food trucks are a maybe as of right now. I will send out a final recap probably this time and or Friday of next week with final updates on those kind of things. Good question though. So here's the map that I was talking about. So again, you can see at the top of the map, you come in off of Sheriff Road, big windy hill that you come up, and buses hook that first right. As you come in, you're coming all the way up past those blue and green boxes. Those parking lots are for staff member, management team members, officials, and then if you have any parents that are coming to visit, they can park in any of those parking lots. If you have any administrators that are going to be coming from your schools, let them know that they can park in those parking lots. We'll have signage there that says that, but just let them know that there is parking, and it has a little bit of a walk, not a terrible walk, but definitely a little bit of a walk. I know occasionally some teachers and coaches may drive separately as well. That's the place for them to park if they do go that route. But buses will come up and you will drop off. My second green line didn't stick. If you can see my cursor, which I don't know if it pops up on Zoom, there's a drop-off point right here at the front end of the track, closer to those parking lots. And then we'll have another one up towards where the restrooms, performance stations, and the control center will be. We will have assistance from volunteers that will be helping guide buses to where we want them to drop off. And we will also have help from Prince George's County Police as well. So we should have plenty of people on site to help you get your bus in, get you unloaded, and get your bus parked. Again, bus drivers will either park up in the FedEx lot in the red square there, anywhere up there is fine. Or if we do need to go to Plan B, we will have this service road behind the building cleared out, and we will park buses along that service road. And then as you depart, they'll come back out. There's plenty of room on that back service road for at least 2 buses to go past each other, if not potentially even 3. It's a lot wider than it looks. The trees just hang over quite a bit. Again, once you're ready to go, once you get your awards, call your bus driver, tell them, hey, we're ready for pickup. Come get us where you dropped us off. Walk on over there, hop on the bus, head on home. The other thing too, please make sure you do clean up your area on the bleachers. We want to keep the facility as nice as it was when we came in. It's a beautiful facility. We want to treat them as good as they treat us. So year after year, we can continue to go back and have a great facility to take all of our kids to. Team areas. You all saw that yellow section on the bleachers. Again, it'll be marked for each district. You could set up anywhere in your district's area. You can bring pop-up tents. If you bring pop-up tents, make sure you bring something to weigh them down with. The last thing we want is a rogue pop-up tent being blown out of the stands and smacking a bunch of kids. That's absolutely the last thing that we want. Again, last reminder, make sure you keep your area clean. We will give you garbage bags and recycling bags to take into your area. You can tie them to spots on the stands where you are. You can tie them to your pop-up tents. Just don't tie them to your kids, I guess. It's probably the last thing I would recommend. Competition reminders, remind your students. And sometimes if you have parents coming, it's great to remind them too, because they haven't been training with you all season. Officials will call false starts, fouls, violations. They're going to enforce all the rules to make sure everybody has a equally competitive experience and everybody gets treated the same way. Again, make sure your students know of the rules, make sure your parents know of the rules, make sure your administrators know of the rules. And if anybody has a question with rules, feel free to come grab me, come grab Jason, who is our sports chair, grab Ron Freeman, grab Mike Sarnowski. We can all help you out when it comes to rules. A good example that came up over the season of somebody being new that wasn't aware of a rule is when you throw that mini jab, has the rubber point, that's the nose, and then you have the tail that has the fins on it. If the tail with the fins hits first, that throw doesn't count. So again, with that technique of throwing it, make sure they're throwing it so the nose hits first, tail doesn't hit, that's going to be a 0 count for that attempt. Something additional that I realized I didn't put in here as it comes to officiating and stuff like that. Again, something that we will talk about, and I will remind you of at the coaches meeting in the morning, is if you think that something is going wrong with the event that is an unfair advantage for somebody on a different team or is going to hurt your student in some way to be able to compete at the highest level for themselves, you can protest things. I will tell you that you can't protest an official's call. If an official makes a call and you don't like it, not something that you can protest. We don't have instant replay, unfortunately. But if there's something event-wise, or someone's not following the rules or something like that, come see us. You can protest something if you want to, but always come and ask. Always have a conversation. Don't be afraid that it's gonna hurt your kids in any way. We're not gonna retaliate against your kids. We want you to protect all of your kids as head coaches so that they have the best experience possible. So again, grab us, have conversations with us, ask us questions. That's what we're there for. Relay teams. Essentially, all this writing on here says a team can have 2 4x1s and 2 4x2 teams. That's the first part. Again, confirm your relay runners and your relay teams upon check-in so we can make sure we have everything ready for the end of the day. And again, relay teams need to have 2 runners with a disability and 2 unified partners without a disability. And then a note for teams that combine, even if you have 3 teams, a good example, Allegheny is combining their 3 teams to make 1 Allegheny team this year because of numbers. They don't get 6 relay teams. They still get 2 of each. Mike, do you want to chime in?
Just one other thing, when you turn in your runners, we also need the run order. Who's runner 1, who's runner 2, 3, and 4. We need that to get some of the management sheets, if you will, ready for the end of the day.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. So again, come prepared, come ready to turn in relay teams and with the run order. Gerard.
A couple of questions. I don't know if I missed it. One is, are teams going to be provided a lunch like in the past?
Yep. Yeah,
And-
we were coming up to lunch. Lunch will be either a turkey sandwich, ham sandwich, or salad.
Okay, and then my second question is for the relay team. Um, does it have to be 2-2, or can it be 3-1, meaning 3 athletes and 1 partner?
It has to be 2 athletes, 2 unified partners. That's how all the relay teams are across the board.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Again, you can have alternates registered in your registration. I know some teams do that. But just a reminder, you can register additional alternates, and that helps us move people into those for the management sheets as well. Ambulatory devices are to compete exclusively in the following events: 100, 200, 400, 800 meter. We did add a wheelchair slalom event for this year. This is the first year we've added it. I don't believe anyone's taking advantage of it, but we are going to look to continue to assess and revise and potentially add more wheelchair events. Again, the wheelchair slalom is a nice event because it tests your athlete's ability to maneuver their wheelchair through the slalom course versus starting a 100-meter race and just going forward. So consider that in the future. But again, for this year, 100, 200, 400, 800 for the running events. We will apply the maximum effort rule. If you don't know what that is, there's a 20% threshold, meaning if a team outperforms their qualifying time by 20% or more, they're disqualified from that event. So again, that's why it's so important for us to get your athletes running their best and their strongest at district championship meets, because then that sets them up to not fall into this threshold. Again, in the case of illness or absence, coaches will be able to activate alternates on site until 11 a.m. And you can only replace somebody of a like role. Again, if you're replacing somebody with a disability, you have to put somebody in as someone with a disability. But again, we understand that illness or someone being out happens for various reasons, and we will work with you. But again, up to 11 a.m. is the cutoff point for reporting and making that change on site. Uniforms. Anyone out of uniform will not be allowed to compete. Again, we go through some of the uniform slides here, but you can also go back to the coach resource guide for a complete list of the uniform requirements.
I think I have a question in the chat.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw it.
Yep, it just popped up. Brandy, good question. If a team finishes earlier than other teams, does that team need to stay until 4 for their awards and departure? If that team finishes and we know what their place is going to be and it doesn't hinge on any of the other teams in their division still racing, we will start awards. We will roll and award teams, but it all depends on whether they are in a division that's still running races that has points that could be potentially earned and determine places in that division. So some of the uniform stuff, we're not going to go super deep into it. School issued full length shorts, they don't need to have school logos or on it, whatever. They just need to be the same shorts that your team are wearing. They just need to be the same. Again, you see lower, they can't be random Under Armour shorts. They can't have random things written on them. So they need to be uniformed, assigned, plain shorts, or with your team's logo on it. Gotta wear sneakers. I will say I was at a district meet and I saw a young lady running in Doc Martens. I respected the aesthetic, but not something great to be running in. Again, beautiful boots, not what you're wearing to a track meet. No jewelry. Make sure they take off any jewelry before they're running, not only for a hazard for injury or anything, but also we don't want anyone losing valuable or precious jewelry to them. Uniforms, headgear, no hats, rimless headwear, or including bandanas. Religious and or medical related headwear is permissible. Again, want to remind people of that. Headbands, wristbands, armbands, they're all fine. They just need to be a solid color, and it can't be wider than 2 inches. If you have athletes that want to wear, say it's a little bit of a chillier day and they want to wear Under Armour shirts, like a long sleeve Under Armour under it, or tights or something like that, they can be single. They have to be single solid color. They don't necessarily have to be the same length, but single solid color. So I'd recommend you tell your team, if you're going to wear something underneath it, everybody has to wear a plain black undershirt, a plain white undershirt, a plain gray undershirt. Tell them ahead of time and set a standard for what's acceptable underneath. Again, and we want them to be wearing things that you can run in. You know, don't stick a sweatshirt under a shirt. It's not a great running atmosphere or setup for your athletes. Again, the spandex things, these are because of designs. You can't have, you know, logos or anything on it, you know, no camo patterns. Essentially, that's the big issue here. No camo patterns, no logos, none of that stuff. Straight black, straight white, straight gray, whatever color you determine is your color that you want your students to wear underneath their uniform, you let them know that ahead of time. Bib numbers. Everybody should have a little bit of experience or have seen and have a basic concept of what bib numbers are. Every athlete will have a bib number. They will also have a label that has their bib number and their events and their starting report times on it. We will have in your packets all of your bib numbers and all of your labels. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. But sticking all those labels on hundreds and hundreds of bibs is something that we don't necessarily have the hands for. So we are going to ask in the morning when you get your packets, you have your coaches, assistant coaches, and unified partners and athletes all work together to get their labels onto their bibs. Again, one of the really important things on there is that the report times is on the bib. It's the report time, not the run time. So just remember the time on your bib is your report time, not your run time. Bib numbers and bib placement. You can see how they have them placed. Attach it to the front of the student athlete in the picture. We want it the same way, right in the torso area, right in the front. We want our staging people, our management team people, our track, our officials to be able to see. As much as we would love them to be able to know every single athlete's name, it's much quicker and much easier to call for a 3-digit number than look up what a name is and try to pronounce names absolutely correctly and loud enough so everybody can hear it. 3-digit numbers from the bibs is our way to go. Competition areas, they are limited access. We want to keep things clear. We want to keep things moving. Of course, we want to keep people off the track while events are running. Of course, we want to keep people off of the throwing areas for safety purposes when people are throwing. But again, all non-credential people will remain in the spectator area. So anybody without a credential or your athletes that aren't doing anything at the moment, keep them up in the bleachers. The bleachers is going to be the best spot to see everything, plus be out of the way. Again, same thing. Athletes that aren't competing, stay in the bleachers. So this also talks about credentials and non-credentialed areas. The big thing is that everybody's going to get one all access credential for one of your coaches to use to get into competition areas. You know, that's for getting into staging. If an athlete needs assistance while they're in staging, that's to get over to help an athlete over to one of the throwing sections for their throw to happen. They may need a little assistance getting from one place to another. You'll get an all access pass to do that. But while you're in competition areas, that's not an opportunity for you to get an all access pass to do some additional coaching. You have trained your athletes for 3-4 months now. You have set them up for success. It's time to cut them loose and let them do their thing. They know what they're doing. You've trained them to be successful and they're ready to go. So you'll get that pass to support your athletes, but not be sideline coaches. Staging. We will not be announcing report times for events. You need to work with your coaches, your assistant coaches, your athletes, and your unified partners to use those times that are on their bibs to make sure they get to staging when they need to. We will more than likely announce when we do shifts that I showed you on the original schedule of now at track staging, Division 1, now at field staging, Division 3. We'll make general big announcements like that, but we're not making announcements for every race or every race type to go to the staging area. You will also get a report in your packet that we call the Bible. Essentially, it's all the events race by race by race by race with their report times, and that's a super helpful packet to have to keep track of your day. Again, all competitors must report to track staging, the tent, or the field staging tent prior to the individual competition. Those report times will be on your bibs. If a competitor misses their heat, there will not be a makeup heat. Again, we are moving through. We are giving you all the resources to be where you need. You need to work as a team to get everyone where they need to be with those resources. Mike, do you want to add something?
Yeah, just for those who have been there for the last several years that we've offered this, you may have noticed what we call either the time sequence report or the Bucci report, named in honor of a longtime coach who suggested it. It gives you, for your athletes, this is everybody who needs to be somewhere at 10:30. This is everybody who needs to be somewhere at 10:45 throughout your entire day. If you haven't used it before, it's an excellent checklist for you to keep your sanity of where you need to have your people there. We'll have several copies of that Bucci or time sequence report in your packet for you. You can spread that out to your fellow coaches, and it really helps manage your team.
For sure. Thank you for that ad, Mike. Again, it reiterates here, if a competitor misses his or her heat, we're not doing a makeup heat. If someone ends up with a staging conflict, and we haven't had a lot of them with the event sequence that we've gone with, if for some reason we have 3 divisions instead of 4 for some reason that we have a lot of teams drop, occasionally there will be a little crossover, but that's typically the only time we see it. If there's staging times conflict, you can have a coach report to both the track staging and field staging. So if an athlete is in track staging and is getting ready to run a race, but there's crossover where some of that division also moved on to throwing on the field, you can have a coach use that all access pass, go onto the field and report in to the field staging saying, hey, this athlete's staging for this race coming up. I'm here instead of that athlete. As soon as that athlete's done running their race, they've been told to come right here and they will be ready for their throwing event. So again, if there's a conflict, you can use that all access pass as a coach to step in to be there. Don't anticipate a lot of that thanks to the scheduling and how we have the stagger set up for the divisions, but there's always a chance. Again, like Mike said, follow that detailed schedule that you'll have in your packet. We'll have a couple copies in there for you. And it should be super helpful to set up your day. Again, the report time on the bib is a report time, not a run time. We may run a little ahead schedule for track events for some time periods throughout the competition, but we will not run heats prior to the published report time unless every competitor is there. So again, we may run a little ahead, but we're never going to run faster than the report time. False starts, again, false starts will be charged to the individual. The false start, essentially, you'll get one false start. They'll give you that one. Second one is a DQ. So again, remind your athletes, pay attention, be ready for the start. If you have a false start, it's okay. You get one redo. Second time, it's a DQ. Again, if you need certain accommodations for an athlete, please reach out to myself and Jason Mattern by next Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Starting Thursday, the 12th at 12:01 a.m. We're not going to be taking any more accommodations. We are more than happy to have a conversation with you for accommodations, though. We just need to have it in a timely manner so we can prep for it and set it up for you. If we do set up an accommodation for you when you check in at the control center when you arrive, please again, check in and say, hey, we talked about this accommodation. Is this still good to go for the day? Yes, great, fantastic. So again, email Jason and I before next Wednesday if you need an accommodation for an athlete. Lunch, everything that everyone's excited for. Lunch starts at 11:30. It will be available for pickup at the awards tent near the entrance by the control center. The options are Wawa turkey sandwich with cheese, lettuce, tomato, ham sandwich, cheese, lettuce, tomato, or salad with a choice of dressing, which will be either Italian, ranch, or Caesar. The salad is gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan. It should cover a good amount of dietary needs. If you know you have an athlete or a unified partner or yourself that has strict dietary limits, it's probably safer just to pack a lunch. Again, we're bringing in lunches for 500 something people when we include volunteers and management team and all that. It gets too nitty gritty for us to pack specific lunches for high dietary need athletes, unified partners, and coaches. And we say the same thing to our staff and our officials and volunteers. If you have a really extreme dietary need, it's much safer just to pack your own lunch. Additionally, lunch will come with some additional snacks, and you will get bottles of water for the number of students that you have. More than likely, you'll get a case of water, and that should cover most schools. Some schools are a little bit bigger than a case of water. Again, lunch will be available for pickup starting at 11:30 a.m. Additionally, we are going to be sending out to all of you a lunch order form. You may have seen them already. If not, you will see them soon. We'd like you to fill out that lunch order form with how many turkey sandwiches, ham sandwiches, or salads you want for your participants. That allows us to box them up ahead of time, so we can then give you a box of turkey, a box of ham, a box of salads, and a case of water, and you can have 3 or 4 people come down from your team to get it instead of sending your whole team through a lunch line. We're not doing the lunch line thing anymore. You will get your lunches all packed up in a box and presented to you when you arrive to the awards tent. Check-in procedures. When you arrive and get off the bus and your team starts coming in and you as the head coach check in at the control center, these are the things we would like you to do when you check in. 1, if you have any scratches, if you have any kids that didn't show up for the day, report them ASAP. Packets. If you have anything that you need additional, you will get it in the packets. Bibs, credentials, no lunch tickets. You're not getting those safety pins for the bibs. Any of the reports that we're going to give you for the day, the time sequence report, everything that you could need for the day, paperwork wise, information wise, is going to be in that packet. Additionally, if you have an accommodation that we talked about, like I said, bring that up again. Remind us. Again, we have them documented in our rosters and our heat sheets. Always good to remind us on site so we remember. And then confirm your relay runners and the order for your relay runners. Those are the main things when you check in that we want you to do. Awards, again, it's team awards. So all teams will get awards. And the nice thing is too, for this event, everybody will be getting our 50th anniversary awards that are very nice. They're custom made for Special Olympics Maryland. So everybody will get a very nice award. Even the ribbons are really, really nice. They'll be presented once a team has finished competition and their place of finish is confirmed. Again, if somebody else is running in your division for relays at the end of the day, and it could have an impact on how your division finishes, we won't award until that relay is over. But if your team is done, we know your number. It's not going to impact anybody else's place in divisioning. We will award you and we'll get you rolling. Again, last point just says relay races might factor in what the finish is. So we might have to wait until end of relays for some divisions. Again, listen for announcements. Riley will be over there running point on awards. So we will have people announcing and getting your teams lined up and set up for awards. We're going to get you set up. We're going to get you in. We're going to award your teams, allow you guys to take photos, allow spectators to take photos. We're going to get you rolling, get you out, because we know we want to get everybody back to school, try to miss as much traffic as we can on the Beltway, and get people rolling. Again, when you have your players come to awards for their awards, have them wearing their uniforms. We want them wearing their uniforms. They need to accept their awards in their uniforms, so that they are a unified team and uniform team when they get up there. Running late, take down my cell phone number now. This is my cell phone number. If you are running behind, if something crazy comes up, please send me a text, give me a call. I will be keeping an eye on my phone all morning to make sure if anybody has any issues, that I can get a hold of them. We can figure out what's going on and get your team taken care of. Additionally, in the next week and a half here, if something odd pops up with your team, feel free to reach out to me as well. We've hit that point of the year where your athletic directors and district reps have done a fantastic job. The ball is now in Special Olympics court. So I am more of the person that you will reach out to if you have an issue. As always, if you do have an issue though, you can reach out to your district representatives too. They're very well informed. They know what's going on. They know the process and they can help you as well. But that is my direct number if you have an issue. But again, if you're running late on event day, give me a call and that'll give me a heads up to figure out what we got to do to work you in if there's a major issue. Some reminders here. Here's a reminder on the concessions. We may have food trucks that come in. There's a chance that we may not. Our partners at Sports and Learning Complex are working very hard to get a food truck or two to come in. But we will give you an update on that next week. Additionally, we will have merchandise for sale. Cash and credit cards will be accepted. I know the kids like to come out and buy different merchandise. And a lot of this merchandise is going to be stuff that is older stuff that we have available still. And so it'll be a little bit cheaper than usual too. So your athletes should be able to go home with something nice if they want to pick something up. Lastly, we will have health performance stations run by Riley and Kayla Shields from our office. Those will be available to participate in between races when you have your downtime, when your division isn't on the track or on the field. And they're very good about promoting health and awareness. Again, they will be right before you walk through the gate to get to the control center and the awards area. Where the concessions used to be typically is where you will find the performance stations. I'm sure they'll have some goodies to give away. They'll have a lot of information on hydration. They'll have some information on all different sorts of exercise and health and wellness. Again, we are very much pushing a mindset with all of our athletes that being a good athlete is a season-long commitment, a year-long commitment. It's something that we want our athletes doing daily. You know, we want them drinking plenty of water. We want them eating right. We want them being fit. We want them being active. So you'll send them over and they can see Riley and hang out and get to learn a little, get to get some experience off of the track with some additional health and wellness things. Again, some of these things can be incorporated into training. They can be incorporated to health and wellness at home, and empowers athletes and their supporters to take charge of their own health and fitness. Last thing I want to mention that we will also be promoting is transition from your athletes that are going to graduate at some point and move on. We have opportunities in all of our community programs, and that's not just for athletes. One thing we've been really trying to push and extend to coaches is education on there's plenty of opportunities for your unified partners as well. Our community programs can always take new and young assistant coaches, volunteers, or if they like being a unified partner, they can go ahead and keep being a unified partner. I will say Baltimore City is one of our strongest community unified programs, very, very strong unified programs in that community program. If you want to, we will have flyers and stuff for people to take with them. If you want to share this slide with your graduating seniors, great slide to share. That link will take you to locate local programs across the state and what their offerings are for sports and for volunteer opportunities. Additionally, even if you have unified partners or athletes that are going off to college in other states, every state has a Special Olympics program, and there's plenty of stuff that they can do with those programs too, including some colleges have college SO programs as well as part of their intramurals. So again, keep your unified partners and athletes on the lookout for Special Olympics life after high school as well. So the last thing that I want to talk about here, and I'm going to send out a one-pager, what additional details is just COVID protocol stuff. The good news is things are much better than they have been in the past. And the protocol we're keeping very simple for this event. Essentially, all we want you to do is there's 4 generic protocol questions that we have you ask before getting on the bus. It's something that honestly, even pre-COVID, it's probably good to ask your athletes how they're feeling before they get on the bus, because to get on the bus, travel, 45 minutes to 2 hours for some programs to a track meet and then be stuck at a track meet when you don't feel good, not optimal for anyone, especially our athletes. So I will pass along a one-pager. It'll essentially be ask 4 COVID questions, the basic COVID questions you get everywhere. Make sure athletes are feeling good. And then when they get on the bus, just know that, once they're on the bus, we need to make sure they're feeling good and ready to go. Once you get to the venue, currently there is no masking protocol when it comes to being at the venue. That's the great thing about being outside. Much better to be outside and have an event going on right now. I will say, going back a bunch of slides, I'm going to go back to our map here. All right. Going back to, not this map, that one. If for some reason, knock on wood, we get some bad weather that rolls in. It happens this time of year, storms occasionally roll in. If there's bad weather that rolls in, we have a weather app that we will be monitoring, and we will make a call early. We will make the call, and if we need to evacuate, we will essentially cross the road and into the field house here at the Sports and Learning Complex. As far as the protocol goes, you don't currently need to wear a mask inside the Sports and Learning Complex if you're indoors, but it wouldn't hurt to tell all of your athletes to pack one. If we go inside, some people's comfort level changes masking inside to outside. I'll tell you, I still wear a mask when I go into the grocery store, just the personal comfort level. So to make sure your athletes are comfortable, make sure that they pack one just in case, and we'll have it on us. But again, if we do need to evacuate for weather, we'll make the call early. We'll all cross the road and into the field house. Any questions on protocol and or evacuation plan there? Okay. Here's the contact info again for myself and for Jason Mattern. Again, I hope most of you took down my cell phone number on the slide about if you're running late. If not, last chance to take it down before I send it out as an email tomorrow, but last chance tonight. There's Jason's cell phone number too. If for some reason you can't get a hold of me, you can always reach out to Jason as well. And then lastly, the last thing I'm going to finish on is questions. Does anybody have questions for what we went over, for anything that might be coming in the next week? Joan, you have a question.
Yeah. So for those teams that are combining, I'm in Frederick County and I'm combining with Frederick High School and Linganore High School. I'm Oakdale High School.
Yeah.
As far as uniforms go, is my athlete still allowed to wear an Oakdale uniform, or do I need to match with the other 2 schools?
No, you can wear your Oakdale uniform. We don't think you need to all fill into one uniform. That'd be great if you just magically had tri-team uniforms in the back there. But no, you can wear your Oakdale uniform.
And what about the coaches all pass? Will we all, obviously we'll have 3 different head coaches. Will all 3 of the head coaches receive one, or just one?
You get one in your packet. Again, we're trying to keep competition areas as clear as possible. So if you feel like you need somebody that is down on the field at times with your team, that's fine. With combined teams, if there feels to be a need with combined teams to potentially have an additional one, we can talk about that. Email me as part of the accommodations.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Hey, Zach, just one follow-up on Joan's question.
Yep.
If you are a combined team and you have a relay team that has runners from more than one school, we may have to have you have that team wear a pinny so that for the officials out on the track, everybody in lane 2 is wearing the same color. Otherwise, it can cause some challenges with the officiating that's strictly on the relays. So just want to give you that heads up. We would provide those pennies if that's necessary.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. If you do have questions between now and the time you get on the bus, though, again, everybody has my email. Everybody has my cell phone number. Feel free to reach out. We still have a few bocce district tournaments going on, so I will be running around early next week to some of those. So I may not get you an answer ASAP on Monday or Tuesday, but you will 100% get an answer by the end of the day. Other than that, anybody else from our team here? Ron, do you have anything that you want to add as part of the track and field team?
I'm good.
All right, sounds good, Ron. Riley, anything you want to add?
Just come see me at the transition program table and the performance stations. There'll be lots of fun.
Yes, please. If you guys can go visit Riley. Riley's done a fantastic job doing her internship. I'll give her a shout out on the recording here so it'll live forever on our YouTube page. But please go visit Riley. She's worked very hard on the performance station. She's done a fantastic job, and your students are going to have a really good time visiting her. Other than that, I'm going to call it a night. Mike, do you have something to add? I forgot you were on
Oh,
here.
no, I was just going to say what you probably are about to say
Yep.
yourself, which is just a huge thank you to all of you for this is even though we're moving out of COVID, hopefully, knock on wood, it's still been a crazy season, and we are incredibly thrilled to be able to have something that's close to a typical IUS track tournament for a state tournament or state meet, and look forward to seeing y'all in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Mike beat me to it. Again, I think I've had conversations with a bunch of you with district reps. It's been a wild year. We know it, you know it, but everyone's really excited to get out to the track. We're really excited to see all of your athletes out on the track. I've gotten to see them at district meets, and that's been a nice little taste, but I can't wait to see them all at the state tournament. I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you've done this year, everything that you continue to do. And just the support that you give your athletes week in and week out throughout the school year, not even during each season. But you guys are phenomenal. We can't thank you guys enough as coaches, as teachers, and just people in general. The fantastic work that you do. Without you guys, none of this happens. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And if there's anything that we can do for you, please let us know. And we'll see you guys in like a week and a half at the State Invitational. Otherwise, have a great night, and I will see you all soon.
Hey, Zach, can you hang on for a sec?